right, yo, I'm listening to
Do you still run into a lot of
NPR, and in the news, check this out.
Leaving your parents' basement or something like that?
Finally, they have an esports category. I think it's in the Big Ten, right? Check it out. They're giving scholarships to people who are good at these games. Now, there's a series of games called League of Legends, and they will be starting this year, a 5-week period where they will be competing at the college level with esports. So eventually there will be a professional league, I'm thinking. So some of now I got to go on and start looking at my son when he playing these games and be like, yo, dude, you plan to make some money with that? You know what I'm saying? And this is this brings up a point that I have experienced my whole life. Our kids, as far as African Americans, get into stuff and we look at it as useless. I'm guilty of this. We look at it as useless. We look at it as something that's a waste of time. Like rap, break dancing, bike riding, skateboarding, and we look at it as a waste. But others look at what their children do and try to find ways to make it possible for their children to benefit from it ahead of the curve. Now, I think we might need to, and I'm going to start looking for future things that my kids like, for example, the hobbies that my kids get into. I'm trying to make sure that I don't be like some of my elders at one point in time who was telling me I wasted my time when I was trying to rap, when I was trying to break dance, you know what I'm saying? When I was really involved with hip hop, wasting my time, you know what I'm saying? And we need to really start cultivating our children. When we find them mastering almost anything, we need to be looking and see if there's other kids around, and maybe we could start our own leagues, right? And start supporting some of the creativity, and maybe we support some of the things that our young people are doing. Maybe they will be more receptive to being successful at some of the other things that we want them to do, like school, like pay attention in class, right? Because it gives us something where we can negotiate, right? We want our children to be able to negotiate. We don't just want them to be robots up in these schools and these institutions, all right? So that's the first part for today. I'll catch you in a minute. I'm back, yo. So I thought about that a little bit more, and it's sort of like we kind of crushed the self-determination in one area, not realizing that self-determination that we're crushing is self-determination that could be used in other areas. It is Kujichagulia today. So maybe we should be looking at our kids, because one of the proverbs we're going to be covering within the next couple of weeks states, provide young people with a lure to mastery, right? Once an individual starts to master one thing, it builds up their confidence so that they can move on to other things. So we might need to start, and I ain't even going to say might, we need to start encouraging our young people to embrace the idea of mastering something. And we start them where they are, right? Not where we want them to be, right? Because that a lot of times crush that independent spirit, that spirit of Kujichagulia within them. Because we look at what they do, we tell them that it's stupid, we tell them that it's garbage, and then we start being oppressive with them because we're adults and we know so much, supposedly. But we are just as lost in this world as many of our young people, because the world is changing so rapidly. Look at how much change has happened just in the last 5 years, right? Look at how fast technology is advancing, right? But yet and still, especially in my community, which is surprisingly very conservative when it comes to life changes, right? We're moving to a whole different field and a whole different way of people being employed, and we are not encouraging our children to create. We're not encouraging our children to move towards mastering something, even if it is a damn video game. Once they really get into it and start mastering it, you could take that confidence and move it into other areas. Like, I mean, even in school, right? Most of our kids come to school being able to count money, but we start talking about math in abstract terms, right? Most of our kids are familiar with story structure, but we start talking about it in abstract terms. We don't use the cartoons that they watch, or nor do we watch, well, some of us, because I watch don't watch the cartoons that they watch and use them to help our children learn the structure of writing, how to put together a script, because they can remember. They memorize the songs. They memorize the scripts of their favorite movies. Like, I remember one of my nephew loved Friday, even though his young ass shouldn't have been watching it. But he loved Friday, and he could recite the lines. And if you look at the basic structure of a movie like Friday, there is all the elements that's needed when you're writing. Whether you're writing a comedy, or whether you're writing a drama, or whether you're writing a paper for a class, right? We need to start incorporating what our children do on a daily basis into their lessons. One of the things that really amazed me, and I already covered this a little bit earlier, I was watching a YouTube show called Minefield by the Vsauce team, and they stated, they showed a chart that showed boredom, which a lot of our children and a lot of us experience at work. And they said the emotion that boredom is closest to is disgust. I think it's disgust, right? And it's a form of disgust. And what happens as an adult when you find something that's disgusting to you? You try to get up and you try to leave it. You find different ways of getting around it. If you got to be there, you go to sleep, or you do something to deal with the disgust. Our children are in many cases disgusted with the education system because it don't address things that are relevant to them. They might not be relevant to us, but we can use some of this information to make life relevant to them. If we could draw lines of connection between what they're watching and what's going on in the world, if we could draw lines of what they're listening to and what's going on in the world and what's going on with their education, I think we will make headway with that, right? So I'm going to really start looking at incorporating some of the stuff. I actually been doing some of that, but incorporating some of the stuff that our children are watching, because why couldn't a homework assignment be watch this show tonight, break down the plot of the story, all right? Find a word that they used in the show that you are not familiar with. Tell me about that word. Learn that word for the day, right? Mathematics. What is the frequency of commercials? Like, how many minutes? And then once they figure out how many minutes is in between each commercial, what percentage of the show is commercials, right? Then you get into percents, right? And then you can move on to other things. But there's so many creative ways. But we got to, as adults, we got to stop being lazy and stop thinking that we know it all, and start using those things to lure our children into mastery. And once they get into mastery and build that confidence, we can move them on. Thank you for watching the video. I want you to subscribe. Click the bird right there, the fiery bird. And I also have a special video just for you, right there. And for those that want more information about Giammi Journey, go to our site. It should be right about there.